First up, let's talk about Pathfinder: Wrath of the Righteous. If you thought Baldur's Gate 3's character creator was intimidating, this game will make you feel like you're doing your taxes in Arabic. It is mathematically dense, but sweet mother of min-maxing, the payoff is insane. You basically get to lead a massive crusade against literal demons, and the game lets you ascend into an actual cosmic entity. Want to become a literal angel or a golden dragon? Sure, why not? It's got that greedy choice-heavy crunch that old-school players snort like cocaine. Plus, the enhanced edition fixed the bugs, so you can min-max your half-elf wizard without your PC exploding. Now, if you want something that dropped fresh out of the oven recently, you need to check out Banquet for Fools. This indie gem gives you a completely wild, hardcore open-world experience where you control 4 guards and a literal pack mule that carries your boat around. Yes, a boat-carrying donkey. The combat is this bizarre, brilliant blend of real-time brawling and tactical pauses that feels like a fever dream. But the real selling point? There is no modern quest log. You literally have to get out a physical notebook and write down directions like an actual detective, or you'll end up wandering a cursed pagan island completely lost. It's wonderfully unhinged.
Such captive seems to have a fascinating...
Moving on from magical elves, how about some good old-fashioned historical backstabbing? Expeditions Rome throws you into the sandals of a young Roman legatus whose father was murdered, and honestly, the political drama hits harder than a toxic ex. You're managing legionnaires, conquering territories, and engaging in some of the grid-based tactical combat you can find. The selling point here is how smoothly it blends personal roleplay with large-scale military strategy. You can conquer Egypt, rub shoulders with Cleopatra, or just execute people who mildly inconvenience you. It's casual enough to grasp instantly, yet deep enough to satisfy your inner Caesar.
Feels thick and heavy in your hand. Light shimmers on.
Alright, time for a game with zero combat but maximum emotional damage. Disco Elysium is a masterpiece where your biggest enemy is your own internal chemistry. You play a bloated alcoholic detective who woke up with amnesia after a bender of legendary proportions. Instead of fighting goblins, you're arguing with your own limbic system and trying not to die from a heart attack while looking at an uncomfortable tie. It's hilarious, deeply dark, and features some of the best adult writing in gaming history. If you love the psychological depth and crazy dialogue paths of BG3, this will make you feel seen and attacked simultaneously.
Suddenly, out of nowhere, case-related things start popping up in your head.
Because I asked them to do their job.
Let's swap the swords for some heavy caliber machine guns in Wasteland 3. Imagine the post-apocalyptic vibes of Fallout, but with tight isometric tactical combat and a sense of humor that is completely, beautifully offensive. You control a squad of desert rangers trying to bring order to a frozen, radioactive Colorado full of psycho cultists, killer robots, and a faction that literally worships a giant animatronic Ronald Reagan. The choice and consequence system is brutal. There are no clean, happy endings here, just different shades of catastrophic failure. It's cynical, explosive, and lets you drive an armored truck over mutated clowns. What's not to love?
Retaliated!
If your favorite part of Baldur's Gate 3 was just the pure, unadulterated dungeon crawling and tactical combat, then Icewind Dale Enhanced Edition is your holy grail. This is Dungeons & Dragons stripped of all the long-winded romantic subplots. Sorry, no asset-shaking companion sex scenes here. Instead, you build your entire 6-character party from scratch and dive straight into a frozen wasteland to kick monster ass. It uses the classic Infinity engine, meaning it's real-time with pause, and the remastered soundtrack still slaps incredibly hard. It's the ultimate comfort food for gamers who just want to roll dice and slay dragons.
Agreed. The butcher's work.
Speaking of hardcore, Colony Ship is a sci-fi CRPG that does not care about your feelings. You are stuck on a massive, decaying generation ship crawling towards a distant star, and society inside has completely devolved into dystopian tribal warfare. This game handles choices like a dominatrix. Every single decision pinches hard, and resources are so scarce you'll be fighting over rusty pipes. The turn-based tactical combat is punishingly precise, rewarding stealth and cybernetic upgrades over running in guns blazing. Thanks to some fantastic post-launch visual updates, navigating this bleak metallic hellscape looks crisper and feels smoother than ever. Now, let's talk about a game that bridges the gap between tactical military strategy and pure CRPG chaos, Jagged Alliance 3. You are a commander hiring an incredibly colorful, borderline psychotic squad of mercenaries to rescue a kidnapped president in a fictional third-world country. The selling point is the sheer unscripted playground format. The turn-based combat lets you target specific body parts. Yes, you can shoot bad guys right in the groin, and the environment is totally destructible. The dialogue between your mercs is packed with hilarious 90s action movie cheese and inside jokes that make managing your military budget feel like a chaotic comedy show.
Easy and quiet. Easy and quiet.
I am wounded.
Let's take a trip down memory lane to a legendary title that older fans still whisper about, the Temple of Elemental Evil. Based on the classic Greyhawk D&D module, this game is famous for having one of the most mechanically accurate translations of D&D 3.5 rules ever put into code. Sure, when it launched back in the day, it was buggier than a swamp hotel, but the modern community-made Circle of 8 mod patches it into absolute perfection. The turn-based combat is incredibly faithful to tabletop gaming, making it a stellar historical artifact for anyone who wants to see where modern tactical RPGs got their DNA.
Yes, sir.
Will do.
Ever get tired of playing the generic chosen hero who saves the world with the power of friendship? Tyranny says screw that and makes you an executive enforcer for a literal world-conquering evil overlord. The war is already over, the bad guys won, and your job is to walk around acting as judge, jury, and executioner. The magic system is insanely cool because you actually design your own spells by combining ancient runes. It's a shorter, incredibly punchy experience where your choices radically alter the layout of the world, letting you live out your darkest, most sarcastic bureaucratic evil fantasies. If you want a game that literally never ends because of the sheer power of community horniness and creativity, Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition is the play. While the main campaign is a solid old-school D&D adventure, the real selling point is the toolset and multiplayer. For decades, players have used this engine to build custom persistent worlds, custom modules, and let's be real, a questionable amount of adult roleplay servers. With the Enhanced Edition keeping the master server list alive and well, you can hop online right now and experience infinite adventures with actual live dungeon masters running the show. Next, we are hoisting the sails with Pillars of Eternity 2. Imagine a classic isometric RPG, but smash it together with a high-seas pirate adventure. You get a massive open world where you upgrade your own ship, engage in naval combat, and explore gorgeous tropical islands filled with deep political factions. The game lets you choose between real-time with pause or a beautifully polished turn-based mode that feels incredibly close to BG3. Plus, the companion relationships are wonderfully messy, and the voice acting is fully voiced by the cast of Critical Role.
Can't make a dent.
If you find
Alright, if your absolute favorite part of BG3 was the strict adherence to the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition rules, Solasta Crown of the Magister is a mandatory play. While the story and facial animations are definitely on the indie, low-budget side, the tactical combat is arguably even more faithful to 5e than Larian's version. It utilizes verticality like a boss. You can levitate characters, push spiders off walls, and use light as a literal tactical mechanic to blind your enemies. It also features a massive Steam workshop full of community-made campaigns, meaning you'll never run out of dungeons to crawl.
Most unfortunate that.
We cannot talk about CRPG masterpieces without bowing down to the Ancient King, Planescape Torment. This game doesn't care about your traditional fantasy tropes. You play as the Nameless One, an immortal, heavily scarred amnesiac who wakes up on a slab in a giant mortuary. Your companions include a floating, wisecracking skull with a severe dirty mouth and a chaste succubus. It is essentially a philosophical interactive novel disguised as a video game where you can literally talk the final boss into committing existential suicide. If you value world building and narrative genius above all else, this is mandatory gaming history. Let's talk about a trilogy that beautifully mashes up high fantasy with gritty cyberpunk, the Shadowrun series, specifically Dragonfall and Hong Kong. In this universe, magic returned to the modern world, so you have corporate mega conspiracies run by literal dragons and cybernetically enhanced elves hacking into neural networks. The turn-based combat plays like a smooth futuristic XCOM, and the writing is tightly focused and incredibly immersive. You aren't saving the universe, you're just a mercenary trying to survive the neon-drenched streets and secure your next paycheck. It's fast, incredibly stylish, and deeply atmospheric. Look, if you want the absolute closest sibling to Baldur's Gate 3, Divinity Original Sin 2 is Larian Studios' magnum opus before they got the D&D license. The environmental combat here is legendary. You can coat the entire battlefield in oil, light it on fire, turn it into cursed blood, and then bless it to heal your party. The sheer level of mechanical freedom is delightfully broken. You can literally defeat a boss by filling a chest with heavy items and telekinetically dropping it on their head. It's hilarious, chaotic, fully voiced, and mandatory playing for anyone who breathes air.
May not always prove worthy.
Back in 2009, BioWare gave us Dragon Age Origins, a dark fantasy masterpiece that set the golden standard for companion drama and tactical combat. It perfectly balances real-time tactics with deep cinematic storytelling. The origin stories genuinely change how the world treats your character, and the party banter is legendary, especially the iconic passive-aggressive commentaries between Morrigan and Alistair. It handles adult themes, political betrayal, and dark spawn slaughter, with a perfect blend of grim dark reality and snarky humor. If you want that classic companion-centric magic, this game remains totally unmatched. Finally, let's blast off into the grim dark future with Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. Developed by Owlcat, this massive space RPG hands you a giant void ship and a warrant of trade that basically makes you a legalized corporate god. You get to explore uncharted space, manage whole planets, and decide whether to serve the Emperor or fall to the chaotic whispers of the warp. The turn-based combat is grand, explosive, and lets you unleash absolute space magic devastation. Plus, you get to hang out with space elves and fanatical battle sisters. It's sci-fi role-playing at its absolute grandest and most ridiculous.
I'll brush this off.
Faith without murder can escape the...
Alright boys, I think that's it for today. I know that there are other games that I haven't mentioned yet, so how about sharing your favorites that probably deserve the spot in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video and make sure to subscribe the channel if you don't want to miss another great list. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Peace!
It's a curious thing. I do not know how else to describe it.